We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
Welcome to Depraved and Debaucherous, and this is King of Podcasts. Welcome you once again. ddradio.live is where the website is, where you can find all the past episodes. And as we get into today's program, or tonight's program as I record, we're going to talk about passport bros, because that's becoming a very public subject. Insider.com actually wrote a story on it, and there's a guy I actually follow called digital_bromad on TikTok that regularly talks about this, visiting Colombia, visiting other countries. And the story made it out there. This was just after the Memorial Day weekend. TikTokers are divided over passport bros who say dating overseas is easier than in the U.S. And then he asked the question, wouldn't you be better off getting a mail-order bride? Well, now, maybe that was who the writer Marielle Descalsota wrote, but it's the same kind of idea. But the thing is that, as we all know, man, listen, I know it because I've gone to Jamaica and I've gone to the Dominican Republic, and men are treated differently in other countries. American women, and the thing is, too, is that for me, sometimes it's a little bit different when you're in America as well. Because I always notice when I go to California, women are always much nicer over there. But they're still the same kind of, sometimes some women will be very much materialistic and have expectations, and they're looking for their unicorn. I'm in South Florida, the most poser, status-seeking place in the world. Next to New York, I guess. Really, South Florida, Miami, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, yeah. When women can dress and wear anything they want and go out there, they don't have to necessarily be nice. And that's the problem. And, when there's guys out there that just, struggling in relationships, struggling to find a woman that, when you have to go through the dating game, that's one thing. But when you don't have to go through the dating game at all, like some of the Gen Z people we talked about last week on the Tinder survey, well, the same thing happens here. When you're saying to yourself, all right, if I can't find anyone here, even to play the dating game with, then I could just find someone that actually is romantic and loving and caring and cares about men. Women that actually love men, for being a man, for being masculine, for being chivalrous, for being brave, for being loyal, for being caring and charismatic and compassionate and loving. Let me tell you one thing, man. When you're talking to different women from other countries, there are those select countries that they always talk about where the passport bros go, right? We'll talk about that in a moment, but we're going to talk about the mail-order brides and what that all is about as well, because that's also becoming a thing, obviously. It used to be a taboo thing, like everything else was, right? Sugar daddies was a taboo thing 20 years ago, but now it's not. We're now at the point where mail-order brides, it's normalized. Now, I've told this story before. So, a former best friend of mine, he met his wife today, of whom he has a daughter with, met her on OkCupid. And she was staying in Thailand, but her family's in the Philippines. Mid-20s, school teacher, pretty big family, and she moved to Thailand to work, and she was also sending money back home to her family. Good upraising. And you know what he did? And my friend was a bit down and out. He never was good with money, very irresponsible, he's a Gen Z, basically. He might be considered millennial, but he's actually more like a Gen Z. It was mid-30s. Now late 30s. But now what happened is that he goes on ahead and never really got anything going on with women. Very awkward. He was very nerdy, and he just very, but all in all, in essence, he's a good guy. Bit of a temper. Growing up, bit of a broken family, But all in all, I hung out with him for about a good 10 years. We had a falling out, and that's fine. I haven't really much of a grudge about it, but we spent, we had a lot of things in common. And I supported him when he decided to make the decision, where he got, a couple $1,000s in tax return money. and he was being threatened about where he was living with his mother. She was going to kick him out of the house. And work wasn't doing well. He wasn't doing well with work, and he was just unhappy. And he had been talking to this girl through WhatsApp, video calls, phone calls, whatever, regularly. And he would talk to her 2-3 times a day. They talked about everything. Really knew each other. And he decided to pull the trigger and said, okay, I'm going to fly. I've never met her in my life. She's going to tell me where to go in Thailand. He takes the flight, flies to San Fran, then flies to Bangkok. He goes there. No, excuse me. San Fran to Japan, and then to Thailand. He gets to Thailand. No plan on returning on a return ticket. He took it one way, and then he'll just figure out a time to go and come back. He stays a month living with her in Thailand. Lives for a month with her in Thailand. And then he knows after the month, I'm going to marry her. They're going to be married. He's going to bring her here to marry her. And you know what he did? Went through the trouble, the immigration attorney, got the visa done, the marriage visa. And then once it was finalized, it took about 9 months. Roughly a year later, he went back. But this time, he went to Thailand to see her, to move her out. And then he goes and they fly together to the Philippines to meet her family. And he meets the family. Everything hits off really well. He gets the blessing to marry her, brings her here, and roughly 30 days after he arrives with her, they go to the Justice of the Peace. He's wearing a suit. She's wearing a dress, bridal dress. I'm there, and his mom is there. We're the only witnesses to this all together. He asked me to come, and I see him get married. I remember taking pictures from him right in Palm Beach on the island. Some nice little pictures, like, you know, a decorative kind of thing. Something that was like, you know, scenic, just to remember the moment. Less than a year later, she's pregnant. They have a kid. And by that point, he had moved into a new apartment. Moved out of his mom's house. And as far as I remember, they're both working. They both spend time with the child, the daughter. And they made a go at it. But as far as I know, it worked out. And somebody would have never been lucky at all getting married if he would have met a girl here. He went to the Philippines, basically. Found a woman that accepted him, loved him for who he is. I can tell you, I've talked to some girls in the Philippines. Some that I've met here and some that I've definitely met online. The families there are different. Remember, mostly Catholic. Very much raised like almost like Latin or Asian families because of both of the backgrounds. The women that come here cook, clean, traditional housewives, make love to you, have sex with you. You actually feel like a man. You actually feel like a real husband with a real loving wife. There are women like that in other parts of the world. The only thing I do say about this is that I wish it wasn't the case. I wish women, by listening to the sound of my voice in this program, will realize men like me, we don't want to have to go overseas. It will be easier for us to do that. But the truth is, we have no choice. I know right now I have no interest in dating. I think about the investment, the time, and what I'm going to have to go into to break out of my shell being single. Now, don't get me wrong. I see enough beautiful women. I get to talk to enough women that are just beautiful and sweet and loving and just wonderful women that I just know I'm not going to go and date. And I don't have an interest to. I don't have an interest in pursuing. Meanwhile, if I wanted to just take the gamble on a woman that'll be my wife, and I went overseas like he did, and go there for a month, 2 months, 3 months, live there. Like basically, the guy in this story that they speak to about the passport bros his name is Austin Abeta. He's a digital bro man. And he's out there with different women all the time, making friends. Of course, we don't know anything about his sex life when he's down there, but you know what? He's with some very beautiful women, having a good old time. He's happy. Like you see him with a good big smile on his face, and he's just giving advice to guys out there. You can do this too. And you can meet women that really you feel comfortable with, you feel good with. And that can actually happen. So, sounds like fun. So now, the mail order bride, let's go into that. For those of you that don't understand this. So this is a story that came out about this that you might not have heard of. And this is from a story from the UW Stinger. This is a collegiate paper. Oh, the online news company. Okay, I never heard of them before, but they put the story out. Either which way, it makes sense to bring it up. The Romance Revolution, exploring the rise of mail-order brides. And it has a rich history going back to the 19th century. They were predominantly women who sought to escape unfavorable conditions in their home countries, marrying men from more prosperous regions. Originally, it was the mail-order brides. Women were looking to go ahead and come to wherever that was to meet someone. And the reasons have been attributed to various factors: economic, social, and cultural differences. But now here's the difference too. Women here will say, so we want women that are poor, unfortunate, downtrodden, that'll take any man, even you. And they'll feel ashamed by that. Like they'll just feel like, oh, okay, so you need to go after a woman like that. That's easy. Meanwhile, they're going to say that they're complicated. The women are here, American women. Women in America of various cultures, races, creeds. In this story, they said the benefits of a mail-order marriage is an opportunity for cross-cultural exchange and understanding. Different backgrounds of individuals learn and appreciate each other's traditions, values, and perspectives. Challenges are language barriers, cultural differences, and the adjustment process in a new country can create hurdles for both partners. It's been made much easier to go and meet mail-order brides because then you go through a dating platform. You can communicate easily now through the internet. And there have been plenty of success stories out there. That genuine love and happiness can be found through these unconventional means. Because that's the whole point we got to make mention of as well. You are meeting women, and there are success stories of this. But there are also men, absolutely, that are abusing this privilege. There are men that are narcissistic, controlling, manipulative. And they will meet women over here. And they will bring them here. But then also the women will also be shady as well, where they'll be money hungry. They'll go along with the ride in order to get money from the men. So you can also absolutely take a risk on both ways, just like anybody else. But it's really based on your intent. Now, the other thing, too, is in some of these same countries, you can go also meet women and you can have sex with them. And sometimes it's going to be a pay-for-play. I'm not going to say it's not, but it is. But either which way, you have that going on here, and it can all change. Now, let's move along to the Passport Bros and into the story. So now, Passport Bros are digital nomads who are seeking to date foreign women overseas. Now, Austin DeBeta is a remote worker, and he shares his Passport Bro lifestyle with millions on TikTok, stating that dating was easier overseas in the States because Americans were seen as exotic. Now, one of the things that's changed right now, there are about 17 million Americans, they say now in this story, that are thought to be traveling the world while working remotely. The COVID changed everything about remote work. Now it's become very popular and very known. And there were always those people that were expatriating to other countries as well, that might not have come with their partner to move to another country. But those that are doing this. So the hashtag Passport Bros has amassed almost 420 million views on TikTok, where men, mostly from the West, promote their lifestyle of partying in far-flung places, while working remotely on their laptops and, of course, showing off local women they meet along the way. So Austin Abeda has divided users. He says in one video, quote, "Passport bros are right. Dating overseas is easier for a variety of reasons. A lot of young men in America are frustrated with the dating scene there. I'm a firm believer in a free market, and that allows the best outcomes for everyone involved." He told that to Insider. And there was a video he put up on May 22nd, almost 2 million viewers, listing 3 reasons dating abroad was easier in the U.S. 1, women saw passport bros as exotic. I know it sounds crazy, he says, but you have an accent. And by the way, Abeda is 31 years old. He has the American accent is kind of trash, but still gives everything you say a little bit of weight, a little bit of spice. He listed as a data analyst on his LinkedIn profile, and his second reason for dating overseas was secondhand excitement. This is really important on dates. People love showing you their country and showing you things that they love. And that showing enthusiasm kept things light and fun. And the final reason it was easier to date abroad was thanks to the stereotype that Americans were rich. Kind of true, because our currency is like the global currency. If you make $60,000 a year, you can live like you're making $120,000 pretty comfortably anywhere else. Because, yeah, the countries that they're going to have a much lower cost of living. Dominican Republic, your money goes about what? It's like 60 cents on the dollar to an American dollar. You're talking about Thailand, same kind of idea. You're talking about Philippines, 50 cents on the dollar, more or less. Your dollars go a lot farther in all these countries, which also makes a difference. And he says, quote, "I would have had to make 4 times what I currently make in order to live in America the way I do while I travel." And then he goes on and says that, well, one of the users that support his lifestyle asked, "What cities would you recommend?" And he recommends his top 5 choices were Medellin in Colombia, Manila in the Philippines, Mexico City, Bali, Indonesia, and Rio de Janeiro. All tropical climates, by the way. Being a tall white dude with even a small amount of money relatively was the biggest cheat code in Peru, dude, one other writer wrote. But there were also detractors. One user saying, "He's just being a money bag." Another user writes, "How's this different from a mail-order bride?" Another writes, quote, "I think it's weird to solely go to another country, especially the poorer ones, just to get women because you're Americans." And Abeda responded to that, saying it's not just to get a woman, you're also traveling the world learning about cultures and saving money while you do it. And it's interesting. Al, you know who even talked about this? The folks at the Daily Wire even talked about it. A recent story. So Ben Shapiro leads the Daily Wire. Listen, I'm not here to talk about politics, but one of his cohorts that works on the Daily Wire, her name is Brett Cooper, taught Ben Shapiro about passport bros. And he asks her if it's like the opposite of a mail-order bride. Now, Brett Cooper normally talks about pop culture, and she's brought up this whole story because she looks at stuff that's going viral, and one of the things was passport bros. Now, he shared his thought, along with Brett Cooper, on passport bros, where he was learning about it for the first time. And the video on TikTok got almost 10 million views. And Cooper writes, quote, "Passport bros are men that are so fed up with Western women because we're all apparently so woke and so terrible. Adding that passport bros believe women from the West don't want to be wise, so they travel overseas to marry foreign women." And she also notes it can actually turn out to be cheaper, pointing out the passport bros flock to places like Southeast Asia, the Philippines, and the Dominican Republic to find women, and the passport bros get remote jobs and eventually meet women there to date. Women in the Western world, she says, specifically in the U.S., are so pissed off about it. Now, Ben Shapiro met his wife overseas. "I did marry a woman from abroad. She's been in America since she was 12, but she's still Israeli. And then she got U.S. citizenship." And there's that brought up. And some of the users did agree, saying they respected the passport bros. And there you go. It's one of those things that we have now that is such a common thing that you figure out. Going somewhere else to meet. But it's becoming popular because there's no other way. I mean, women, do you understand? We don't need it to be this way. Because you know what? There's a lot of exotic, beautiful women that are here too. But women, for whatever reason, whether it's just the influence they've been given, or how men have treated them in the past? Let me just tell you like this. The woman that this guy Austin's meeting overseas, there are women as beautiful and can be as loving and as just as wonderful here in America. Women can be that. It should be that hard. The fact that men have to go to another country because they can't find what they want here. I'm sorry. It's like the guys that will go on the dating apps when they first started going on dating apps and dating sites. We actually started driving farther to meet somebody. Like when I first started doing dating apps, I started going farther to meet someone. I would go to Miami or Fort Lauderdale to meet a girl. And I did it. I wouldn't do that now. But you could. Plus, you also have the idea that, I can go ahead and fly over there and I can communicate easily with a girl overseas before I get there. You can also do that too. And there are plenty of guys right now that are online dating doing the same thing. And by the way, all these sugar daddy sites have plenty of women from other countries. And you know what those sites are? And a lot of them are on the sites and they're not necessarily looking for money. They might be looking for a sugar daddy because that's becoming a thing to do. But I can tell you, look into the sugar daddy sites. There are plenty of women for the Philippines. You know another area that doesn't get talked about enough? Africa. South Africa. Kenya. Malawi. Ghana. Absolutely. And the money goes very good well over there. But it's just much harder to get to Africa. But imagine that. Plenty of women out there. Beautiful women. We see them, especially when we see women that are coming from other countries that come over here. One of the things that was interesting to me is that, down here in South Florida, we actually really had an interesting thing where a lot of clubs down here, there would be a lot of women that come from South America that would make their way up here. Like there's a city called Deerfield Beach that has a very strong Brazilian contingency. And Brazilian women are gorgeous and wonderful and sweet and just everything. And sometimes the guys, I know there were always used to be clubs down in Boca Raton or in Fort Lauderdale where you would know where women would go and try to meet men and they had just gotten here to the country. Immigrated properly, right? Legally. And they would make it in, try to meet some people. And guys would flock to these bars or these clubs to meet girls that were coming into the country because they were different mindset. Maybe they're just like the girls overseas. Now, America can corrupt the minds of any woman that you bring over here. Let me just tell you that too. So if you want to do the passportbros thing, okay, sure, go ahead and meet different girls, have a good time. But more importantly, you don't want to make it where you're going somewhere else and you're not a quality man looking for a wife. You just can't be a piece of shit going over there. You'll find girls to bring over here, but you remember, it's got to be real love. No matter what, real love has to come out of this. And it can. You take the time, go spend over there, meet with her, and you find out. And maybe there will be a woman that will touch your heart and they'll be the love of your life. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with this at all. But I also think that we don't need to make this the only option. Passportbros should be a last resort. It should not be the only way it goes. We should actually have a chance for women to really be themselves here. Not the way it is right now. It's not fair. It's not right. We got to have something better. And hopefully that'll happen. I don't know. We have to figure it out. Hopefully we'll get something someday to really figure out why this is and just learn and just realize, wow, this shouldn't be happening. We should not have guys having to go ahead and make the trip. I mean, ladies, you might want to just take the fact of the matter is that, you know what? there are some of you that have to really understand that maybe you need to go and look at yourselves and realize why this happened the way it did. Why are things like they are now? It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't have come to this. Ladies, you have a chance to stop this from happening. This is just starting to get started to become more popular. And TikTok's making it really simple for that to happen. Imagine what happens. Okay. By the way, those unicorns, the ones that you think you're going to get, the 6 foot tall, 6-figure income plus, those same guys, they don't have to wait for you here. They don't have to spend the money on you here. They don't have to go ahead and go to the runaround with you here. They can also be the same guys that will go over to another country because their money goes a long way. And the women will be much nicer to them. I mean, ladies, do you really want it to make it where money is all that matters to you? That's what you want? Is that the stereotype that you want to be given? Do you want to be associated with that? Or do you want to be happy? And not play what every other woman's trying to play. There's enough to play this game. You're getting pretty for yourself. You're getting yourself fixed up for yourself. And maybe you try with other women as a different sex partner, and it doesn't work. Ladies, you have a chance to still do this. You can still hold on to these guys. They're not bad guys. It's just you have this thought, the social media, and all these thoughts of like who's out there to get this fantasy of finding this unicorn. It's not going to happen. Nothing wrong with finding a guy that is a good man. Maybe he's not as attractive. Maybe he's not as rich. Maybe not as well off as you'd want. But guys are not looking for that. We don't care about your income. We don't care about your status. You can be as poor as the women over there in other countries. If you have a good heart and you care and you know how to love and you're not jilted and you believe in love and you want to make someone happy that will make you happy, you have a chance. But until then, we're all single. Now, the story from your Tango actually put up a story about the mindsets that keep you single. Interesting story here. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I want to apply to myself. Ladies, you know this. Why are you single? You expect to find the perfect relationship. It simply doesn't actually exist. And more people are less likely now and willing to put the required work and effort into building something alongside a teammate. But walking away instead at the first sign of difficulty is preventing deep, meaningful relationships from actually developing. Number 2, not recognizing your own self-worth. On women, you don't find that. You don't realize your natural, God-given beauty. And the beauty thought, like the beauty industry likes to pair all of you against each other. And you realize there's a thought that you think we accept the love we think to deserve. You get to decide what you deserve. But there's self-worth. It's up to you, not them. If you don't feel like you truly deserve to be happy, you will always find yourself sabotaging situations which bring it to you. Money is not happiness. Status is not happiness. Love is happiness. And then you're actually scared of finding happiness. It could be too good to be true. Or you never think the timing's right. Or with someone that want to be career-minded, that want to be the boss bitch, okay, well then, timing's not right. And you're thinking timing's not right because you're not ready to have kids, you're not ready to go and settle down. You want to go out and go different countries yourselves. A girl's weekend, whatever it is. And finally, you're jaded. I think many women and many guys fall into this reason why we're single. Burned into the past, felt unappreciated. No good men, no good women. All men are jerks. All women are crazy. It's natural to become worn down and discouraged, but keeping your hope alive is the only missing piece in finding the person you're meant to be with. You got to keep hope alive. That's the one thing I'm trying to do now, is maybe there's somebody out there. But until then, I'm going to keep looking. I'll keep trying. That's the show for tonight. I think we made a lot of ground and covered it. And I appreciate all of you listening to the program. As always, you can go and find past episodes at ddradio.live. Remember that the show is available wherever you find podcasts. Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify. Please make sure to rate and review. If you're listening on Apple, if you haven't subscribed there, please do. Or listening on Spotify, please subscribe. Please review. Please rate the show. Listen in. And sure, people do their thing, right? That, hey, everybody wants to have their thing of, you go around and you have these guys that are passport bros, and you know what? Yeah, maybe they're going out there and they're trying to go and find somebody to be with, and maybe it's a wife. But you know what? Yeah, we're all a little bit, when we go out to these trips overseas, we're all these passport bros. Maybe I'll be one someday. Who knows? I got my passport ready. Maybe I'll go out with my own passport and go overseas and be a little depraved and debaucherous.